Good morning, natural gas. It's Friday, July the 17th, 2026. I'm Tim Beggins, president of Elk Trading Company. And for the spot August natural gas contract, we're up. We're currently trading at 2,908, up 5 cents or almost 1.75% here. The RSI is trying to turn to the upside. And this may be just a little bit of short covering here because we've been down basically for the last week and a half almost here. And that means we're due for a little bit of a bounce. We may get a push up here, but we'll see. Let's take a look at the hourly chart. And right now we are currently above the daily pivot, which came in at 288.30 here. We are looking at first resistance at 294.30. So the RSI is turning to the upside here. Why are we turning up? Well, we have some current weather right now. We're expected to be 102 here, heat index for Houston. We'll see whether or not this southern heat and humidity, as well as the African dust and Canadian wildfire smoke, is going to push up power prices here because of the higher AC load. Let's take a look here at the EIA report, which came out yesterday, plus 41 BCF. That takes us over 3 TCF in total storage. That's a good number here. We're slightly below last year, but we're 6.4% above the 5-year average. So U.S. natural gas stocks are comfortable at this time. Let's take a look at the April through October strip. This is the injection strip for next year. And as you can see, we're quickly approaching that $3 mark, which may be a good area for some value. As you can see, the RSI is trying to turn to the upside. Right now, we're currently trading at 304.30, up 2.4 cents, or just about 0.8%. So let's see if some bargain hunting here comes in for the April through October strip, because we are too far away from this down trend line here. We'll see if we can bounce toward the 315 area. Let's take a look at the ERCOT market here. And as you can see right now, the combined wind and solar is going to be about 45,000 megawatts. And the load today is going to be just over 78,000, almost 500 megawatts. The fuel mix here, because we've got higher wind early this morning, we're only at 39% of the fuel mix for natural gas this morning. Wind and solar are doing quite well. And right now, let's take a look at the power grid across the U.S. here. And as you can see, ERCOT is not expected to get above $40 today. The pain points here, really maybe PJM here about 175, and behind me is MISO at 173. So we'll see if SPP as well is about 175. So looks like those three areas, SPP, PJM, and MISO, are going to be our pain areas today, but everything else is fairly muted. Let's take a look at the weather forecast here, the 8 to 14-day temperature outlook, and as you can see, the mid-Atlantic states are basically below normal for the third week of July, or excuse me, on the fourth week of July, all the way out to the end here, July 30th almost, and near normal around the Great Lakes. But above normals are starting to creep back into the southwest here, into Texas, all the way across to the southeast into Florida. So that's good news there. And let's take a look at the heat index here, the heat risk. And as you can see right now, we've got heat risk for about 55 million people, and major heat risk. This calms down a little bit, but we start getting more extreme heat risk popping up here in Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana here starting on Monday. 1.2 million people. That expands to another million people here on Tuesday, and that eases up, goes a little higher on Wednesday before easing back up here on Thursday. So again, the heat now is in the south where it normally belongs in summer, not up in the northern plains here. That inverted weather pattern may be what we're expecting, though, for winter. So we'll keep a careful eye on that. And let's take a look going out past this. This is the heat index here. This is the model run here starting in July 24th. As you can see, triple digits in Texas, Florida, all the way back to the desert southwest. As we go through the forecast period, mostly in the south here. It does pop up a little bit toward the upper plains here, especially in the Dakotas. But as you can see, the northeast remains fairly quiet at this time for summer here. It does pop up late in the forecast period. As you can see, as we get toward the very end there, let's go back one frame here. You can see mainly from Texas straight north and the desert Southwest, as well as California, with triple digits there. So as we end up July, it looks like the Northeast and the Great Lakes are still quiet. How about Europe here? Well, they get some relief from this extreme heat they've had for the last couple of weeks, especially France. This cooler weather comes in this weekend, Sunday, the 19th here, really dives into Germany and pushes that heat back out of France here, pushes it down towards Spain and Sicily. But as you can see, that encompasses even much below normal temperatures all the way back to Bulgaria and Romania. That's good news for Europe because storage is still a problem. As we go further and further out the forecast map here, we get some warm temperatures starting to show back up in France, back up into Germany. And let's take a look at the UK. This is UK prices here. They're up as of yesterday, up to 17 point, basically 80 cents, $17.80 US equivalent here. So that's well above where we are in Henry Hub, which is below $3. So as you can see, Europe is starting to say, I need some LNG. And let's take a look at our problem. And that's Belgium here at 28%, the UK at 22%, Netherlands at 31%. The EU as a whole is approaching 53% full. Let's take a look at Asia, and this is fairly quiet. We do see some warmer temperatures starting to show up here in eastern China, but you can see it gets cooler over in India here, gets cooler in southern China here. This is relative to normal here. And then we start seeing some warmer temperatures again from Shanghai back up into Beijing here as we get into the third week of July. And then it just continues the same pattern here as we get toward the end of the month. Let's take a look and give a shout out to S&P Global Energy, which put out a report yesterday on U.S. LNG export industry rising here. It looks like the U.S. LNG market here will contribute about $1.4 trillion to U.S. GDP through 2040 and take up 30% of the global LNG market. That's fantastic news for the U.S. At one point, this was going to be an import country for LNG. The shale revolution changed everything. And let's go and look at the LNG market here. This is Ras Laffan. There is just one tanker, that is trying to load up here. If I can get it in there. The Al Gatara that's loading here. That's one vessel loading at the docks at Ras Laffan. Let's take a look at the Strait of Hormuz, and this is interesting. Guess what? We've got the Jersey Devil. Well, this doesn't exist in the U.S. fleet. It shows up as a battleship. That's not correct. But there's also something else. There's another one, GPS God. And these look like they're probably two Arleigh Burke-class destroyers guarding the Strait of Hormuz to allow traffic through. Interesting times. Watch out for these two guys. And let's turn to the U.S. LNG market. We're running just under 1.5 for Cameron here at a 1.56, steady as she goes. Freeport, though, as you can see, it is pushing back up toward 1 BCF. We had some disruptions going into Wednesday, into Thursday. That's probably what caused the big drop off yesterday. We are starting to rebound slowly here. We'll see if this ebbs and flows as we go through maintenance and repair here all the way through late August. Let's turn to Creole Trail. This is one of the pipelines that feeds Sabine Pass. And as you can see right now, we still have some open capacity here, over 300,000. Same thing over at Corpus Christi, almost 400,000 there. Venture Global, we are looking at, again, 400,000 open for Calcasieu Pass. But there is a little bit less over at Plaquemines. Yes, it's running just below nameplate capacity. And here's Golden Pass, running over 334,000 MMBTUs. It is steady as she goes right now. We're looking for the next ramp up here toward the end of the year. So let's see if cooler temperatures allow the plant to ramp up toward nameplate capacity, which would be somewhere between 800 and 850,000 MMBTUs. The market could use a little bit more support. And let's turn to the U.S. nuclear fleet. And as you can see today, on the 17th here, we've got 1.1 gigawatts are offline. We've really only got 4 plants that have some portion of outage here. Perry at 4%, Monticello at 5%, Waterford at 3%, and just inside here, there's a little bit, 8.5% for LaSalle. So the U.S. nuclear fleet is doing fantastic, ready for summer. And let's turn to the tropics here. There is a low chance of development for a weak tropical system to develop somewhere off the west or east coast of Florida next week. And how about in the Atlantic? Well, there's a slight chance of development. You're going to see why over the next couple of days coming off the coast of Africa. There is that storm system, but guess what it's going to run into? Yep, you guessed it. The Saharan air layer, which has got another big plug of dust coming across the continent here and into the mid-Atlantic. That's going to inhibit any development here. And as you can see, this dust is pushing up into Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Missouri. So what else is pushing in? You guessed it, Canadian wildfires. That's right. This is the wildfire particulate matter here. This is smoke and dust here pushing into the United States, pushing into Michigan, pushing into New York, New Jersey, and parts of New England. As you can see, this is fires mainly in Ontario. How about stocks? This is the 1 week performance here. These are stocks between $2 and $10 billion, have a high short float over 10%. And as you can see, it's a sea of green. So if you get the right ones here, these are double digits. Crescent Energy over 13%. Same thing for Northern Oil and Gas. The weakest ones right now, CRK, 2.76%. And behind me, Magnolia, up over 5.82%. So it's been a good week for natural gas stocks, despite the fall off in natural gas prices. And let's take a look again. Recapping, we are currently trading at 289.5, up 3.7 cents or 1.29%. We are getting a bit of a dead cat bounce here before the weekend. Short covering, let's take a look at how weather shapes up next week and see if we get any improvement in LNG. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Thanks for listening. We'll see you soon.